Just did the Groundhog jog 4-miler down in Punxsutawney, where the notorious prognosticator himself lives. Finished second overall, in like 25:10 range. It's a 4-mile race. Not sure what the official time was. I didn't get to look. Seems to be a trend lately that I just don't care after the race to look at the times, but whatever. We're somewhere around 25:10. My watch said 25:12, but actually didn't stop it right away, so it might even have broke into 24 when I crossed, because watch was reading 3.99 and I wanted to hit that 4, so I just walked it off a little bit afterwards, but whatever. We'll say right away it was probably the nicest it's been for the race. Still low 30s for the race, but compared to other years, this was the best. In previous years, it would be like really cold, like I mean in the teens. There'd be frost on the ground, or other years that, you know, the road would be icy. Gobbler's Knob would have snow and slush in it. This year the roads are completely dry. Gobbler's Knob was dry, so we had a really nice clean course to use this year, which is just something different to experience itself. Not that there's other conditions were bad, because you know, when everybody else has to race in the same conditions you are, it's not really that huge of a deal. It just sucks sometimes. So this year was pretty conducive to some faster times. My buddy AJ actually set the course record this year, 23 and a half. I don't even want to mess it up. I think it was under 23 minutes. I don't want to say the wrong time, so you'll just have to look at the results. But he did set the course record. So obviously it's a fast course this year. I know this year was the fastest as well for me, and I wasn't even trying that hard to run fast. But at least 10 seconds I would say is faster than I've ever ran before, while not actually trying to run fast. Actually probably think it's probably closer to 30 seconds faster, but whatever. Just some semantics there. Didn't really have a game plan per se. Actually, when I woke up this morning, my phone alarm clock was going off, and I'm like, why do I even need to be up today? I was like, what the hell do I have going on? It actually took me a couple minutes to realize it was Saturday, and I had an entry for the race. So, you know, starting the day off like that, I was just not really into it from the get-go. Even on the way here, I wasn't really too excited, or even before the race started, I was just kind of, I don't want to say dazed and confused, but that's probably about the gist of it. But whatever. So I didn't really fully wake up till maybe 2-3 minutes before the race start. I was probably half out of it. You know, people were saying hi to me and stuff like that before the race, and I'm just like, what, who are you, type deal, because mentally I just wasn't awake yet. So I apologize for that. But the plan overall was just to finish top 3. I didn't care if I was second or third. I knew I wasn't going to win. I just wanted to hopefully try to get that top 3 again, because Doug actually gives top 3 male and female entries into the race the following year, so that's how I got in this year. I still would have went this year even without a free entry. I was planning on coming to this months ago, because I haven't trained for like some trail races that were going on today. But I had the free entry, so I came, and then I got a free entry for next year, so obviously I want to come back and try to repeat, three-peat, which would be kind of cool, because AJ, me, and Ron finished 1, 2, 3 last year. We finished 1, 2, 3 this year, so we have to all come back next year and see if we can't repeat, three-peat top 3. Just be something cool to say we all did. But so my plan was just to finish top 3, just get that free entry. Otherwise, I didn't care about time or really placement. And I figured if there's a bunch of people that came and were faster than me, let them go do their thing, and I was just gonna have fun with it, even on the nicest course that we've had for the race. At least since I've ran it. I've ran it maybe 6 times now through the years. So when we took off, because we start like we'll call it the library, the community center, or the police station, whatever, like Barclay Square, downtown Punxsutawney. But it's basically in line with like the library, or where actually like Phil lives during the year, which is actually like in the library window. So if you ever want to visit, you can actually see the Groundhog that they use all year round. Right away, I started slow, wanted to fill out the field a little bit, and I tried drafting AJ and Ron as they took off, staying behind them, and using it as a warm up that first like half mile, just because I really didn't warm up beforehand. I did a little bit, but nothing exciting where like my body was actually like primed to run or get in any kind of mental state to race. So I was using them like to draft a little bit, which probably helped. I don't know if I really felt anything today like I normally do. Because the first half mile was like through downtown, and then we make this right-hand turn, head up to Gobbler's Knob, and it's I'd have to look at my watch, see if I can't bring it up real quick. It's at least 300 feet of climb. So you go from like flat road to a 300-foot climb, say like a mile or so, mile and a half up. Let's see. So I got 383 feet of climbing, 433 down. So whatever. We'll just call it 400 even. I would say 350 of that is that climb up the Gobbler's Knob, because there is a little bit of a dip later on in the race. Everybody knows about it, and I was expecting it. That's usually where I make a move and try to like lead a little bit. I've led once or twice on the hill, but I was just like, just stay back, relax a little bit. AJ was only a few seconds ahead of me, and I felt like I could have gained on him. I even told him that, but I just didn't want to burn myself up for later in the race, because I didn't know what was happening behind me, because I moved actually in the second when we first started on the hill, just because I like hill running. I can't help it. I get a little excited for running hills, so my body sort of takes over a little bit too much. But I made myself stay back and hold back a little bit running up the hill, instead of trying to run with AJ or get ahead of him, because I was like, well, I know what's going to happen. I can pass him now potentially, and then all he's going to do is smoke me as soon as we crest the hill, and he's just going to take over from there. So like, what's the point of burning the energy? I just was like, save it for the people behind you, because you know you're not going to beat them to begin with, so don't burn anything up unless you have to. So I went with that mindset going up the hill. They did have like an SUV, not SUV, side by side leading everybody, but they were in like the right hand side of the road, which is obvious because it's road, they got to stay on that right hand side. But I stayed on the left, because going up the hill, the camber of the road was leaning towards that right hand side, and I could really feel it in my legs. They were actually causing my legs to burn a little bit more on that right hand side, just the way how that camber was, or steepness was. So I actually stayed on the left hand side facing traffic, and actually made cars move and go around me a little bit more. Probably shouldn't have did that, but I don't care. doing what I needed to do to race better, and I got more of a flat slash or camber than I'm more used to when I'm running roads. So that's why I did that. There was really no position changes once we started the hill. I think everybody pretty much locked in what they were going to finish in. I felt all right on the hill, surprisingly. Better than I was expecting, we'll say that. My legs were I don't think my legs were burning. My throat and lungs were a little bit, but that's just because it was cold out and I didn't warm myself up enough to where my throat and shit was, and mouth even, was warm enough where it was gonna like get that air warmed up before it hit my lungs. So it was burning my lungs, that coldness getting into there until my body warmed up. So that was like the issue I had, which will make you tired a little bit more, but so be it. I know the first mile was 6.5. So a pretty good first mile with that hill. Let's see. I can just do the last book. So 6:30, 6:42, 5:33, 6:25. So pretty decent splits, I would say, for being out of shape. And again, at 6:30 and 6:40, that first like mile and a half, 2 miles of the race, that's more the uphill, hitting the uphill than anything, than just being slow. Then obviously that 5:33 is the downhill mile. Then the 6:25, which is probably closer to actually like 6, is more like the downhill slash flatness. But whatever. I know AJ, I'm trying to think how far ahead he was when we did the first little, well, I don't want to say little, but big loop, maybe like 15 seconds. Might have had that when we entered Gobbler's Knob, because I saw him turn in and I saw him go around the band shell or whatever you want to call it for Punxsutawney Field where they actually have the thing. So he wasn't hugely ahead of me yet, but I know like behind me I had like 30 seconds. So I wasn't planning on burning up at all, and I did sort of relax a little bit as we hit into that Gobbler's Knob actual area. I did get a little confused around the band shell, how we exited it. They had cones up, but I was like, what? That's like a really tight chute that we had to go through. So I did lose a couple seconds there, but no big deal. I'm trying to think, anything exciting in Gobbler's Knob? Not really. I know once we popped out, I looked back up the road to the right, because we do like a little U in Gobbler's Knob. You go in one way, it's only 20-30 yards where we pop back out at, even though we might be in there for like a tenth or so, maybe 2/10. I could see like 4th place just entering in, so I was like, all right, so I have a solid minute on 4th, so no need to necessarily worry right now with my time, because I knew once we hit the downhill, you know, I was pretty much going to be locked into whatever place I was in at the time, unless somebody really turned and burned, which I didn't think was going to happen. And that's where AJ actually like grew his lead. As soon as we popped out at Gobbler's Knob, I just kept seeing him fly, running fast, and then there was me slowing up a little bit, like holding back just for that in-case scenario, because again, if I ain't catching them, why burn the energy up? There's no point in it. So I was running more conservatively, even though I was still running pretty good, but I wasn't, I would say maybe 80%, 75 to 80% of my potential from the time we hit Gobbler's Knob, the rest of the race. And that's not even like red line talk, that's more top end, high tempo pace. And once we hit the downhill, I tried to take some tangents out but I kept forgetting to. I was more, even though I was still running on the right-hand side for the most part, instead of going over the left-hand side, I just kept finding myself back on the right-hand side of the road because of the gap. And then I forced myself to get back over onto the left-hand side and take the tangents out. Nothing exciting on the downhill part. There was nobody at the right-hand turn this year at like the Y intersection. They usually have like a fire truck, but there was nobody there this year, which kind of threw me off a little bit that we were actually turning there, but I saw the arrows and the cones, so I knew it was the right way. And once that mile downhill-ish, yeah, we hit the flat at the bottom of the hill. I just looked back and I had like 30 seconds. I was like, all right, I got second, at least top 3 wrapped up. So just maintain and stay within yourself and do nothing dumb, like trip, fall, hit a pothole, and he got it. So that's what I did. Then I looked back a couple more times after going around some corners, or I don't want to say after going around, like right before I hit corners, I would look back and see if anybody was closing. I knew I was fine, so then I just pulled back a little bit more. Then the last straight stretch wasn't really nothing exciting in town. I knew I was in second, was going to have second. And once we made the left-hand turn to go into the finish line, I just felt more relaxed. There was actually a set of keys in the middle of the road as I was coming in. I actually stopped and picked them up. I shit you not. And I tossed them to the one volunteer. Like, I actually stopped and picked up a set of keys while I was running. So that cost me a couple seconds, but not that that's a big deal. But other than that, it was a good day. Got cool awards. Check this thing out if you can see it real good. This is what top 3 got. Looks like I call it an acorn shape. That's what the piece looks like. It's got a nice hanger on the back. Very cool award. Glad I earned one of those today. It was just a good crowd overall. A lot of happy, smiley, fun people today, which was nice. Just like I said, I was just glad overall I came. I was planning to come weeks ago for my training. And that's about it. Oh, thank you to the women who made the cookies and hot chocolate across the road for us. I know I thank them in person, but I want to thank them again. Somebody would actually show them this. Just overall, the atmosphere today was just a really good atmosphere. It just makes me happy after a race like that. Not even just how I finished, it was just like the atmosphere in general today. It was just such a pleasant atmosphere. It makes racing more enjoyable no matter how you finish, just having that atmosphere. So if you have a bad race, the atmosphere afterwards will lighten the mood. And I had a decent race, and I think I did better than time-wise than I was actually expecting. And I felt better racing than I was expecting, because I haven't really done any speed work or tried to run fast in a couple weeks. So I wasn't sure how the body was going to hold up, because I've been having good days and bad days mixed in between. So, yeah. Got some loaded fries after the race from this one vendor with barbecue sauce, nacho cheese, and brisket. They were really good. I downed them right away. Now I'm just heading home, and that's about it. Still feel good. All the bullshit that I could think of today. check it out. It's a nice race. Doug puts on a good race. There's a lot of volunteers. Volunteers do a really good job. And it's a smooth registration and award ceremony. At least when the weather's good. The one year we kind of jammed packed in the fire hall because the weather was real shitty, but can't do nothing about that. There was like 200 people pre-registered. I don't know the final number who showed. That might be a record too for participation. Don't quote me on that, but I want to say it is. So the race is really growing. Again, because Doug does a good job. So check it out. It's a nice course. I mean, you got that 300 foot plus hill, but that's what makes it unique and fun. And it's like Groundhog's weekend every year, depending on how it falls. Yesterday was Groundhog's Day, the 2nd. Today was February 3rd. So he had it on the day after. Sometimes it's a couple of days before Groundhog's Day, like the end of January. Just how the things fall on the calendar depends on what weekend it is. So it's either the weekend before or the weekend after Groundhog's Day, which it should be. Then you got that go through actual Gobbler's Knob where they take out Phil and you see him do his little prognostication. You actually run through that, and then you hit some nice downhill the second half of the race and flat. So you just got to save yourself for that second half if you're not a good hill person, and it'll be a breeze. So think about it next year. Come next year and support the race and have a good time and enjoy the festivities afterwards, like the bands, the food vendors, different craft vendors in Barclay Square, and see the groundhogs around town that they have. Go on that little scavenger hunt to see them all, and just enjoy your morning/afternoon out there.